I'm preparing the live streaming, and that way Zoom, their advantage, they say, is then people don't have to get out of their Zoom and can see, and it's recording very nicely. Okay. So what I want to do is go to the what's due section with you, and we'll talk about what's the situation here. So I'm going to share my screen as I always do. And in this case, I don't know why I'm not seeing that. Lily, do you see my screen? What do you
Yeah,
see? Do
I see your screen on YouTube.
you see my YouTube? Okay, I'm fine on YouTube. You see everybody. You see Lily, you're right next to me in that corner there. Okay, so if what I'm in my regular section, everybody with me in my regular section. So the first thing is that what I want to do is I want everybody to go to announcements. Everybody there, Kat, you're there in announcements. What we're going to be doing is, I told you, for our final project, we will be AI consultants in certain areas. And one of the issues that I want you to do is you're going to be using the business version of Wix. We have an academic partnership with Wix where it usually is a paid subscription, but I don't want you to pay. So ensure, in a way to ensure that we get a complimentary business plan, each of us need to register for this Wix University webinar. So we asked you to put on your calendar on February 20th from 12 to 1 p.m. We'd like you to attend this webinar. After you attend the webinar, you will get a code in order to get the business version of the Wix plan. And if you look at it, what I'd like you to do is by tonight, you need to register. So if I go to the audit assignment instructions, you can see here proof of registration of Wix webinar. If I go here, you'll see what you need to do is create a submission, right? And upload a screenshot of your registration. And then you can, down below, you can submit. So what I say is let's not waste time, Kiko. Why don't we just register now? So if you click on Wix.com, this website, everybody do this, click on it, and I'll put it in a new tab. And you'll see in this new tab, it says Wix University webinars. And this is the webinar that I want you to register for, where it's Friday, February 20th at 12 Eastern time. And when you register, just do it now. You can see here that join the Wix team for an interactive session on building your own online presence with the Wix editor. Learn how to plan, design, and launch a professional website using their intuitive tools. We'll see what they use. We'll guide you through the website creation process from setting up the structure to customizing your design. Perfect for beginners. A lot of you are aspiring web creators. And plus, all attendees, this is what part I like, all attendees will receive 1 year of Wix Premium completely free to start building right away. Remember, this is what you have to remember. You have to use your EDU address, not your personal one. So please register using your school name and valid EDU or official school mail address. This is your valid EDU, and registrants without a school affiliated email will not be admitted. So you put in your name, email address, right? University, major, graduation. How did you hear about the session? You can say from me. That's fine. Okay. And then once you do that, you'll get the registration and you can upload that. Okay. Any questions on that? Kiko, pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Okay. And Lucy, any problem in registering? Simple. Got that assignment out of the way. Like I
Actually,
said.
for the last your email address and then school email, just have the school email for both, right?
Yeah, put the school email for both. Easy. Easy peasy. Just do that. Let them send you a confirmation that you're registered, and just take a screenshot of that and then upload it in that part of that, in the regular section where it said audit assignment. Just follow those ones. Okay. And then once I'll remind you again next week, just put it in your calendar. And then after you watch it, you'll just have a small little assignment of just your impressions, your reflections of that webinar. Also, it'd be interesting to see, this is a company, Wix, that's trying to reinvent itself. It had an ad in the Super Bowl yesterday on Harmony. They're adding this product called Harmony that they're trying again to incorporate what? More and more and more AI. That'll be easy, that AI will do a lot of the work for you, that you won't need to be a coder. You won't need to take precious time away from your other thinking ability, your other thinking projects, and you'll be able to do that. We'll see whether, everybody's attempting to do that. We'll see how well they do it. It's also be interesting to see see how they do a webinar. Can we have lessons learned? I've been in other webinars with them. I've been in one where I was one of their speakers, and they use Zoom. As a matter of fact, Lily, that's where I saw they kept on doing spotlighting. That's why where I saw that they were using Spotlight. So we can get kind of almost tips and tricks on how do they do a webinar and how do they get involved with a number of participants. We'll also see how many participants, if they share what they share with us. It's kind of interesting on that aspect. Almost from a marketing standpoint, I'd like to see how these companies proceed in this crazy world. Okay, that's number one. Number two, and if you have any questions, you can send something directly to Lily about that. That's the beauty of this class, right? We try to multitask as much as possible. So this we've already done, and hopefully you've done this already with Lily. Okay, next part is what's due, right? So in this case, Lucy, this is what's due before that we have. Last week we talked about software. We talked about the advance you needed to do in a group assignment, your Zoom, the advanced features of Zoom, doing polling, remote, others. This should have been done already last week, and you should have done already your software. And we talked about it, the difference between an operating system's applications. You folks also figured out what operating systems you had, and who cares, because the type of the software, the application software has to match the operating system. So even if it's the same software, application software, it needed to be redone or coded so it will fit for a unique operating system. Okay, the next part is for Wednesday, you need to read data and knowledge management. You need to do the adaptive assignments on it, and you need to do the quizzes. No brainer, you guys know how to do that. Tonight, I'll go over data and knowledge management because this topic is one of the most important topics for information systems and also for the future of AI. It's all around data. Data, getting insights to the data, making sure our data is correct. I'm going to be lecturing on that tonight. The other thing that you need to do that we had scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th before class is really two parts. This one of last week was only the group. This part is individual and group, where each person in the group has to find a different individual screen recording software. What would be good is somebody finding a local one or saved to the computer, and others finding some cloud ones. And then once everybody has completed their own assignment, then you catch up and meet with your group. And one person starts the Zoom and streams, and the other people in the group will be presenting to each other their products. We went over that last time. That is for this Wednesday. I've talked to a couple of you, and it's hard for you to meet in groups. It's hard. Some of you thought one part was due this week, the other part is due next week. No, they are both due together. So what I've decided is this Wednesday, I want to have an assignment day during this class, meaning that you meet with your groups and finish completing your assignment. And I will I will make an extension to this assignment for Friday at 11:59 p.m.
I'm sorry, Professor, you mean this Friday?
This Friday instead of Wednesday.
For the assignment that was due Wednesday, not the one you just talked about. Okay, I'm sorry, I was confused.
This one. Lily, you want to, my throat, let me just get some water. You want to make that clear?
Yeah, so we're extending the audit assignment. And we're gonna have like Wednesday as like a study hall where you guys should be getting together like as a group and working on your screen recording assignment. So like what we're like expecting of you is that before Wednesday you have done like your individual screen recording assignment. So then you're all ready to record on Wednesday during class and then promptly submit. But we're extending the due date to Friday at 11:59 for both assignments, right, Dr. Rush?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
what do you mean both assignments? Part
Like
one,
both,
part two.
yeah, part one and part two.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than turning in one and then the other. Because you may want to redo some of and even if you have done it, you can have time to redo it. But this way, you can take that 6:30 slot that we meet together. You can decide, hey, no one has a conflict on that. Let's meet during that time. You got it, Kiko? But I want everybody before 6:30 on Wednesday to have finished part one. So that way you can go straight into doing your group presentation. And your group presentation, what I foresee is basically you'll be like product reviewers. And Kiko, for instance, how many people in your group?
It is me and two other people.
Okay, so this way you'll be familiar with 3 products rather than one. And you'll be talking with each other as being able to review those products. And each person in your group will be using the recording, right, with Zoom and sharing with others what are the positive points, what are the pros, what are the cons, how could you possibly see using it, how is this different than just using Zoom, because Zoom is basically, in this case, it's It's what? It's using it for it's a webinar. You can use it to meet, but some of these screen recordings are not for meeting, right? They're for doing it. And also sometimes what is the disadvantage to this? We're using what, Kiko? This is a paid version, right? To be able to stream live, to do a lot of the features for the, AI companion. Those are all paid features. So some of these that we're looking at for your screen recording, it's for a different application, and it's also going to be free, but also talk about the paid version. What's the difference between this? What do I get, for this free version versus what do I get for the paid version? Paid version, maybe I can have more times. The free version may be a 5-minute limit. The paid version, maybe I can do an hour. I can do different things. So use it in that format and think of it as a product review. And in this case, that you'll have, Kiko, my intention is you'll have the best presentation that you can show others. I must admit, Kiko, nobody's going to say, oh, let me see those quizzes that you took, right? They could care less, right? But Kiko, what can you do for me? Go to my channel, you'll see, right? Wow. I can help you, in terms of being more efficient. So that's what I want everybody to think about it. It's just not another assignment, but rather it's something, Kiko, in your portfolio that you can be proud of and show off. You got it? So instead, everybody was kind of, I know there's like a lot of exams and things, everybody's kind of rushed. I don't want it to be rushed. Take that time and let's use that as a way to finish up your project, because we've combined it as 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. So what I'm requesting is everybody have it done individually. You'll have it done before Wednesday's class, and then you'll come into Wednesday's time slot and you can do it, with your project. And then that way, Kiko, you don't have to worry about, oh, when do you have time to meet? Hey, everybody has at 6:30. Got it? Questions? Felix, what do you think? Good idea?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah. So you can get the best workout. You know what I mean? So that's what we need. Anything else about that assignment, Lily?
I think you covered it, Dr. Rush.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. And I appreciate all of you on what we're doing here. Okay? So, Lucy, any comments? Sounds good? I think so too. You know what I mean? Why rush it? Why just slap something together? Do your best. And now you know how to record. And this way you can really get to the fine features of that program. And Lucy, if you found one that you're not happy with, you can move to another one, right? You can say, hey, let me find something else. I like the idea of finding something that's new and using AI to it, that someone else is not familiar with, that you can give consulting advice to, because that's what really your final project's going to be, is you're going to be AI consultants. So somebody doesn't want your service, they want your services if you can give them some value, right? And you're going to be learning tools to give value. Okay, so we got that part. Anything else I need on that? So I think if I share, so if I look at this, I know, but this part, you want to maybe put this, Lily, in the chat or something, that I want, get rid of the chapter 5, the readings, assignments, and quizzes, that be done before class, Lily. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that this reading's adaptive. And you'll put something up, Lily, to let them know we've extended on February 11th?
Yeah, so wait, I'm a little bit confused. What do you mean for
I thought the readings should be due before the next class. You want to put that also? And just the audit assignment being extended.
Okay.
You think that's too confusing?
Well, I think I'd have to create a whole new assignment.
What? Oh, you want to? Or you just want to
Or
put it, or if you want to, we can put it all for what is it, the 13th before midnight. You want to do that?
I think that's easier just to put it
Okay,
all
fine. Perfect.
the 13th.
Yeah, so just change it to the 13th. That way everything is done. Yeah, because then you'll have to do 2 assignments. Just make it that it's been extended to the 13th to 11:59. You'd like that 11:59. Okay? And this was the audit assignment here. And that should be done. Okay. So this is what's for this week, if I look at it. When I go to Wiley Plus, and I go to data knowledge, we talked about software. I go to data knowledge management. These are the topic areas of this chapter. One is called managing data. The other is database approach, big data, data warehouses, and knowledge management. For the exam, these are up to 5.5 is what I'm going to be covering. And when I think about managing data, we know that data is essential to any organization. And I know that the idea of getting the data, keeping the data, managing the data becomes increasingly difficult. And it's not that we can't find enough data, it's almost that we have too much data and we can't maintain it. So, a large organization is called an enterprise. Everybody with me? Alex, a large organization is called an enterprise. So a lot of times you will hear in information systems and in IT technology and the readings, you'll hear about enterprise computing. And what that really means is just large organizations have different needs than we do individually. We're part of organizations, but as a whole, if we looked at as a whole of in an organization, we have to act in a different manner and we have to project and manage in a different manner. So let's talk about an enterprise that we're all familiar with. Not only familiar with, but we're all part of. That we have a role in an enterprise, me and all of you. So if I think about that, Lucy, what enterprise are we both a part of?
University of Miami.
Yeah, somehow we don't hear you. I don't know if it's because of your what it is. University of Miami. That's what she said, right? Everybody with me on that. So let's think about, I am part of the University of Miami and you are. The difference is we have different roles, right? Just like we talked about learning management systems, we have different roles based on how we need to do our job, but they collect data on us, on both of us. You agree with that, Lucy? Now we got to figure out what data do they collect. I don't know everything that they collect, but we can imagine there's certain data items that they collect. And we're also certain that we may know from which department they need that information. So, Kat, how are you doing tonight? You feel good?
I'm doing good.
Good. So, okay. I'm getting a little bit over my cold. You can hear that a little
I
bit.
can.
Good. So that's good. I'm feeling just happy about that. So, Kat, let's think about it. Who has your data in the university? Kat. And let's start off with, what is your major, Kat?
My major is finance and accounting.
Okay, so you're in two departments really, right?
Yeah.
So it's finance and accounting,
Yeah.
okay? And let's start with which department you want to start off with. We'll start off with accounting, okay? What data does the accounting department have about you? Let's start with the very basics. Okay.
Like my like how I registered and like my
Well, what do
admissions
you
and stuff
think?
like
There's
that.
an accounting department, and what does the accounting department want to know is how many majors they have. In
Okay.
order to succeed as an accounting department, if they have zero majors, they're going to get less funding, don't you think, than if they
Yeah.
had 1,000 majors, When we think about this class, we see it almost like 70% of the students are somehow involved with finance, right? So they may be, in allocating resources, they may be allocated more just based on their enrollments,
Yeah.
So let's think about it. Let's think about the simplest thing. UCAT, right? They need to have what? Your first name, right? Of course. Your last name, what else?
I'm sure they have like my student ID and my class
Okay, and
enrollment
what is
and
the
stuff.
student ID called here at the university? What do they usually call it? Anybody
The
know?
cane ID?
Cane ID, and sometimes they call it what? The C number?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that, right? A C
Mhm.
number. Okay, what else? They
They
have your
have like
address, they have your major,
my classes, like my
your
class
classes,
enrollment.
all that you're taking, right? Think they have your GPA,
Yeah, like my grades.
your grades, your GPA, because in accounting, you have to maintain a certain GPA.
I think for the business school you do, yeah.
Yeah, and do you have to maintain a certain GPA for finance?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so right, so all of those they have, okay? All right, so and the finance has the same materials, just in you're considered a finance major too, and probably even they have something that you're a dual major, accounting and finance. Okay. Do you think that's anything repetitive among those two departments have data on you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sure. Okay. What about the School of Business? They have data on you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Including what? All the demographics of name, right? Your address, your major, your GPA, right? And some of it, because what do they need to do? They get resources, right? Your accounting finance, they get resources from the university
Mhm.
to exist, right? They get donors or whatever, and they have to tell their donors, you have to give us money. Why? Because we have great research and we have great students, right? And you need to employ our students. Who else has number? So that's three. Who else? What other department in the university? That's it? Those are the only three? What do you think, Kiko? Who else has data about you?
Uh, the admissions office probably.
Admissions office, right?
Housing.
When you applied, right, Kat? When you applied, they ask a lot of data from you, right? Who else? Financial aid. What do you think, Evan? Who else has data on you? Who lives in on campus housing? Anybody? Raise your hand. Right? Claire, do you think they have data about you in your housing? Right? The housing
Yeah.
in general, the meal plans. Do you see any redundant data? Who else? Financial aid. What about registrar? Claire,
Yeah.
right? Registrar, if you want to get a transcript, right? Somebody wants to have proof that, are you a student at the university? Are you graduating, right? Has to go through the registrar. Who else? Anybody in sports team? Anybody ever go to Lennar, any of the health center? Raise your hand if you ever been to Lennar, right? All that, you think they have data on you, right? Parking, if you bring a car, the library, the wellness center. Do you see, Kat, any duplicate data, redundant data? And let's say, Kat, you move. You have an address, right? Where does it need to be updated? How many different places? You don't even know. You
A
don't
lot.
a lot, and you don't even want to know, right? I don't want to go. I definitely, if I move, right, I definitely don't want to go to 20 different departments and tell them I moved. and send them my address? Do you think there can be mistakes when it's duplicates all over the place? Do you think it takes up space? Do you think it takes up management time? Yes. And then, what year are you, Kat?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore. So let's say I'm quite active in the business community and the tech community, and somebody comes to me and asks for a request. They're looking for a sophomore female who's an accounting and finance major that has a GPA over a certain amount, and they have a scholarship. Would I have for all these file systems? I'm in BTE. I don't have access to the accounting department and the finance department. So I wouldn't even know. So the data in the regular file systems are very what we call siloed. What does that mean, Kat? It means that they're almost isolated. So the organization, the enterprise, can't share that data. So what happens is there's something called a database management system that what do they want to do? Their goal is to what? Centralize the data, and different departments can access that same data but get different reports. So the data is stored and it reduces redundancy. It has, in this case, basically it will minimize that so it can save on that. But what is the problem of putting all my data, you think, Kat, in one area?
Maybe it's not as safe.
Yes, security. Guess what? If I have a robber, if I keep all my jewels, in my dresser drawer, right next to my bed, they'll come there and they get the whole loot. If I spread it out, right, they're going to have to go through a lot of areas to get it. So it's the same idea that if I do this, I need to have even stricter security. Everybody with me? It makes sense. And then what they call it for all of this data, there's something called data governance. And what I'd like you all to do is look up what is the meaning of data governance. And raise your hand when you find out. You can read it out loud and together we'll figure out what does it mean and who cares. So what did you find, Jake? Alexander? Did you look it up? Data governance. Okay, Kiko, what did you find?
I have it right here. Data governance is a system of policies, principles, and standards and processes and controls for managing an organization's data assets.
Okay. So it's policies and what else?
Policies, principles, standards,
Policies, principles, and what else?
standards, and
Standard.
processes.
And who?
Processes.
Process. To do what?
To manage organizations' data sets.
Okay, so do we have, so let's go back to, do we have an organization or enterprise? Yes, check off, right? Kiko?
Yeah.
Do we then have data sets? Sure do. Every
Sure.
student is a data set, right? Students are data sets, faculty are data set, the physicians are data sets, right? Our patients are data sets. So we got a lot of that. So what does it actually mean is that I have to have people govern or basically establish policies of what data am I going to collect and make sure they're what? Up to date, right, Kiko? And make sure that it makes sense to have that data in order for us to understand what's happening in our organization. Makes sense. And we have to have people to decide. I have to have someone decide who's going to be in charge of students, who's going to be in charge of the who's going to be in charge of undergraduates, graduates, PhDs, who's going to be in charge of faculty, who are the owners that I can go back to you, Kat, and say, hey, you're in charge of the School of Business data, make sure that it's correct. Because if I have an employer, Kat, and they say, what's the GPA of this woman that you're giving me the scholarship? And then I say, well, it says it's a 3.999, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the integrity. Maybe it's a 2.999. Maybe, you want them to be accurate. So that is the case here, that data governance is the organization, even though it sounds boring, maybe, right, Lucy, that you're in charge, but it's essential. And now what I want you to find out, since we have data governance, what's new is AI governance. So I want everybody, did you hear that? In this case, Dan Frederick, in this case, Dan, did you hear me? He's busy chatting away. But in this case, it's really funny. So in this case, I want you to find now the AI governance. What does AI governance mean? Everybody clear on that? Alex, you clear? Now find out, what is AI governance? And hopefully Dan Frederick can hear me sometime. Now find out, what is AI governance? Who cares? And what is the difference? So raise your hand when you find it. And that is going to be big in terms of this is going to be a new profession. You know what, Kat? Where I see accounting and finance there'll be new jobs when AI comes, is this, AI governance. So what did you find, Kiko?
AI governance compromises the policies, procedures, and ethical frameworks that organizations use to ensure artificial intelligence is developed, deployed, and managed responsibly.
Okay. So it sounds a lot like, don't you think, Kiko? It sounds a lot like data governance, but what are they looking at? AI. And have you ever heard of an AI agent? Kiko.
Yeah.
What is an AI agent? Let's everybody look it up. Look up, in this case, an AI agent. And what's the difference with an AI agent versus when I prompt with ChatGPT? Have you ever done that, Kat? Prompt with ChatGPT? Have you ever worked with ChatGPT, Kat?
Yeah, I use ChatGPT.
Yeah, right. That's a prompt. What's the difference between then a prompt using ChatGPT, which is generative AI, versus what's an AI agent? I want everybody to think. And ChatGPT is, I ask a question and it comes back with an answer, right? Like, what's AI governance, right? Kiko, I could do to ChatGPT, tell me the meaning of AI governance. I'm in a class, an MIS class, and my professor wants me to do it and give me an example of how, what is AI governance.
Yeah.
Now I want to know what's an AI agent. You're on a roll, Kiko.
Apparently it's like an autonomous software that uses learning language models to do a specific task. So instead of
the difference is
ChatGPT,
this, Kiko. The difference between what we're doing in generative AI, like a ChatGPT, is an AI agent does something for me, does a task. It goes out and does something. ChatGPT, when I'm using it as a prompt, it doesn't do anything for me, right? I can then send it out as an agent, actually do a number of different tasks in an organization. For instance, create spreadsheets and download and put it in another report. Basically, it can do, I'm going to give you some sheets and do bank reconciliations, where we have a number of humans do actual tasks. I can go ahead and ask it questions about respond to these 10 emails of my clients and tell them and do something. So these agents are actually doers. As if, Kiko, you were going to your first job, they give you an assignment to do. The agent does the assignment. So what you would do then is there's going to be jobs there for governance and people in the organization to check, what are these AI agents doing? Could they commit fraud, you think, Kiko?
I think as it's
Yes,
a new technology, it's going to be kind of hard
right,
in the
right,
beginning to oversee it. Yeah.
right. So you have, but if I'm going to have all these AI agents, they're telling the businesses and they're telling university, hey, use all this. Microsoft is trying to pull it down their throat. Use all these agents that'll make your job a lot easier. Somebody, it's almost like auditing, right, Kat? Have you ever heard of accounting and auditing? It basically review what the heck those agents are doing in my organization. Are they susceptible? Do you think they're susceptible being hacked? Just like people, right? Social engineering, they're susceptible for being hacked. That these agents. So AI governance is the same as data governance. It's just instead of figuring out what's happening to my data, I have to figure out what's happening to all the AI agents that are going around my company. And if I have each department doing that, I don't even know what everybody's doing. And then they don't even know if they're programming it. Guess what, Kiko? They're programming it. Do you know what they're programming in the School of Business? No way, right? And even if you were the president, right? I'm telling everybody, go do AI, and I don't even have a clue. Some people are really equipped with it, and I don't even know what are their vulnerabilities. So this is going to be enormous for humans to figure out, because you're going to have like swarms of these AI agents going out. And it's not going to be, when I transfer one, I may even take a number of tasks and I may have 100 agents going out there. Who's going to keep track of it? Who's going to know? My conditions may change. I'm going to have to keep track of it. It's enormous. So that's where I see humans being there. Lucy, what am I going to use AI in an organization for? Who decides what's going to be automated? Do we know? Everybody off on their own? So it's going to be, there's going to be AI, basically a whole list, I think, of new job opportunities for those people to decide what should be automated, where should the AI intrude, and where and who is supervising it. Because I can't trust the AI completely to supervise it, right? And let it go. And a lot of it is behind what? A closed box. What do you think, Kiko? In one sense, it provides opportunities because everybody's
Yeah.
saying all your jobs are going to be, your parents are probably worried sick, I'm paying all this amount of money and Kiko, you're not going to have a job anymore. But you can
Yeah.
rest assured, you can tell them, hey, I'm going to be on top of it. That somebody has to organize this, has to be efficient. And guess what? Does the technology change so quickly that we use this agent before, but we can use another product now that's much more efficient and can do a better job. And guess what? We're going to be more vulnerable for computer hacks because somebody else from the outside will take AI agents and attack the university and get all their data, right? And all the credit cards information. I don't have to be a individual. Just send out all my agents, all that data from my hospitals. Did you hear about the ransom on Popular? I don't even have to be a human. The AI agent can be kidnapping, ransom turning down. There's something called ransomware. Has anybody ever heard of that? It's basically shutting down servers and saying you want your server back in the hospital. Pay us in what? What do you think they're going to pay you in, Alex? In what type of currency? What do you think? Bitcoin, right? Have you ever heard of that, Kiko? In Bitcoin, they'll pay you in Bitcoin. They don't want dollars. Dollars going down anyways in value, right? Get Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's also going down, right? But in this case, maybe it's non-traceable, but it is. So everybody understand that process of what data is important. So if I share my screen, and I go to my PowerPoint that you have on your learning objectives, if the managing difficulties of managing data governance, it's that difficulty of managing it because, and you can think about AI as well, is the data basically is going to explode, right? I get more and more data. That's where all these AI, when you think about it, of data factories, is they have to store something in these data houses there, where I'm going to get it from multiple sources of data. The data can rot. What does it mean, rot? It can be like old, like in the back of my refrigerator. Sometimes I look, if I haven't cleaned my refrigerator, I see some stuff past the due date, right? Expiration date. My data can also be outdated. My data can degrade. What I'm concerned is my data security, the quality of my data, the integrity, and government regulations. The university follows certain regulations, keeping security. The hospitals have followed certain regulations that I can't have it. I have to make sure that I keep my credit card information available. And then in the data governance, it's an approach to manage information across what? The hard part is across the entire organization. And then I have master data management, the difference between, you'll need to know the difference between master data versus transaction data. Transaction data is very detailed oriented. I go to CVS and I scan myself some products. I buy shampoo, I buy soap, I buy snacks. Every one of those are my transaction versus master data. It's going to be generic. It's going to be not changing as much. It's going to be, hey, I have my students where I have their GPA and I have their majors. And then when I have that database approach, rather than the file, what I told you, and this, Lucy, I guarantee will be on the test. You remember, what am I doing with data management system? I'm putting all my data together in one spot, Lucy. So what do I want to do? It minimizes three main problems. Data redundancy, that I don't want to have your address 50 times. Data isolation. You remember I was asking for Kat, who's accounting finance, that I don't have that data, that data is just isolated. I can share it. Data inconsistency. You move one place, it says your old address, another place says your new address. And this is what I want to maximize. My data security, because what, Lucy? It is more vulnerable now. Remember, like I put all my jewels in my dresser. I'm putting all mine in. So I have to even have increased data security. I have to have additional backups. Data integrity. When somebody, Lucy, comes and they say, hey, I can say, I know that her GPA, we have integrity for that, right? And data independence, because guess what data independence means? Data independence means if we get another software package and we upgrade, because everything is going so quickly. We want to get newer and newer versions that the data can be independent. The data doesn't go with the old version of software, that I still can keep your data. These two slides, I assure you, you will see again. So if I looked at this diagram here, where I have, like I said, your registrar office has information, the accounting department, this is kind of like almost you can think about it, it's not the accounting department in the School of Business, but rather the accounting department like financial, right? And this is athletics. This has then my course listing data, my enrollment data, my student, all based on the registrar. This is all your tuition and your fees. And this is athletics. This all goes into data management where everyone can share. And notice it goes backwards, both back and forth. And then I can produce the reports that I need. And what gets more complicated is when we have, Kiko, those AI agents over that who is going to control it? So that is the key here for this chapter. And then we talk about the data hierarchy. And basically in the data hierarchy, the bit is like just what I call 0 or 1. The byte is a character. So Lucy, you have in your first name, you have 4 bytes, right? Lucy, each is a character. And a field is basically in a spreadsheet like a column. So if I had a test database, right, with first name, last name, C number, and test 1, test 2, all of those columns are called fields, Lucy. And a record is each student is a row in my data hierarchy, and they are called a record. A row is like a record. And the data filer table sheet is one sheet, and all of the sheets together is what we call a database. Questions? Comments? So makes sense, Kiko? So Lily, comments on what is due? Lucy, you want to go over what do you think is due? For what did we change this week?
It's all due on Friday.
What are you going to do on Wednesday?
You're gonna work with your group on your audit assignment.
Right, on the group part, right? You should have the individual done. Works? Okay. Lily? Think everybody looks tired.
Yeah, I think Lucy pretty much covered it.
Yeah. Some people are sleeping already. I don't want to wake them. So, in this case, I wouldn't want to be woken up either, They're having a nice little nap after the Super Bowl parties and stuff. Okay, so you want to take a roll?
Yeah, I'll do attendance.
Thanks.
Yeah, the code's 1532.
And Dan, do you hear me? Do you want to,
Yes.
okay, we called on you during the time. You had such a good time during the time that you didn't hear us.
Sorry, I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Next time you want to maybe figure out that you can hear us.
I will. Sorry about that.
Yeah.